get this can of tuna?
Yeah, Starkiss, Jerry. Most tuna don't make their cut.
The canning of food has been a revolutionary invention that forever changed the world. So, let's take a look at 10 once popular canned foods that no one eats anymore.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Trader Joe's vegetarian chili.
Vegetarian food is so boring.
In the late 1960s, an entrepreneur named Joe Colomb opened a grocery store in Pasadena, California, named Trader Joe's. The store offered fresh, affordable grocery items, including an extremely popular canned vegetable chili. The concept has become a huge and successful chain, and the recipe has been a bestseller for decades. The California-based grocery chain is now famous nationwide for its affordable, nutritious food. Trader Joe's is also an innovative grocer, offering a wide variety of foods at affordable prices. Its unique business model has enabled it to grow in size and influence, and it recently added more and more organic offerings to its stores.
Oh, I would love a Trader Joe's.
Trader Joe's vegetable chili was so easy to make and a big hit with adults and kids. It was packed with vegetables and proteins and is made with real ingredients like tomato paste and beans. Unfortunately, Trader Joe's has reportedly withdrawn several of their chili products, including the popular vegetable chili. However, Amy's Organic fortunately still sells vegan chili cans, which are available at Trader Joe's for those hungry shoppers who are craving some quality canned chili without the meat. Franco American Macaroni and Cheese.
More cheese and macaroni.
Macaroni and cheese is a classic comfort food that has been enjoyed for generations. What makes this dish so popular is the fact that it's easy to prepare, versatile, and it can be served in many ways. You can serve it as a side dish, a main course, a snack, or even mix it with other ingredients to create something truly unique. Franco American Mac and Cheese was a product of the Franco family, a family company who have made a living for generations as cheese and pasta makers. It was the greatest canned mac and cheese, enjoyed hot or cold, with long noodles and plenty of cheese, unlike other canned mac and cheese on the market. It's a shame they stopped producing it.
No, God!
Not everyone may find canned macaroni and cheese appealing. However, there is significant yearning for this canned delicacy from a large part of the population that grew up in the 80s. Mac and cheese even has quite an interesting history all over the world. In Paris, U.S. President Thomas Jefferson came across macaroni and brought the recipe back to the U.S. Jefferson then created a rough outline of the pasta and gave careful notes on the extrusion process. He commissioned William Short, the U.S. ambassador to France, to purchase a machine for making the noodles in 1793. Jefferson later imported macaroni and Parmesan cheese for use at Monticello, indicating that the machine was inefficient. At a state supper in 1802, Jefferson presented a version of mac and cheese to the guests. Baked macaroni and cheese has remained popular in the United States since that time. Campbell's Pepper Pot Soup.
The secret ingredient of my secret ingredient soup.
The Campbell Soup Company has been around for over a century and was founded by a man named John R.H. Campbell. He created the company after he left a job at a canning factory in Camden, New Jersey, because he was tired of working in a factory. It was in 1912 when Campbell's first started selling its food products out of a small grocery store in New Jersey. And in 1917, the company started producing soup. Pepper pot soup is a thick stew made with beef tripe, veggies, and spices. The soup originated in West Africa and the Caribbean before being transported to North America and transformed into a uniquely Philadelphia cuisine by African American women in the 19th century.
Welcome to the Caribbean, love.
It was one of the first street foods, sold by pepper pot women, and was once a symbol of the city, much like the Philly cheesesteak is now. In canned form, the soup was quite a popular item. From 1899 through 2010, the Campbell Soup Company produced a canned, condensed pepper pot soup that was accessible for almost a century. According to a spokesman, the cancellation was due to changing customer trends. The soup was even immortalized in one of Andy Warhol's Campbell Soup paintings from 1962, which depicts the pepper pot flavor, indicating its not-so-distant prominence. The piece was sold for $12 million in 2006. The pepper pot soup was also chosen as the emblem for the annual awards of the Philadelphia chapter of the Public Relations Society of America in 1968, just a few years after the picture was painted. By the 1990s, the soup had lost favor in restaurants and in homes, and was instead recognized as a street meal that has retreated from the industrial production production line. SpaghettiOs with Franks.
SpaghettiOs. You like SpaghettiOs?
SpaghettiOs are a popular American brand of pasta and sauce which is produced by Kraft Foods. The product was introduced in 1969 and became very popular in the 1970s, with Kraft Foods claiming that its product was the first of its kind. This popular kid-friendly canned food was a childhood favorite for many Americans. While it is still accessible in the supermarkets, it does not appear to have the same appeal as it did in the past. This may be because people are trying to reduce their consumption of processed foods, and SpaghettiOs with Franks definitely falls into this category. The World Health Organization designated processed beef, including hot dogs, as a Group 1 carcinogen in October 2015. This indicates that there is proof that processed meat contributes to certain types of cancer. Of course, there are still plenty of hot dogs at baseball games and in the refrigerated case at your local supermarket. This canned dish included the company's famous O-shaped pasta and tomato sauce, topped with bite-sized pieces of hot dogs, a true childhood classic.
Did somebody order sausage?
SpaghettiOs, which were created to make it simpler for youngsters to consume spaghetti without making a mess, are still a popular kids' dish, even if the Frank version has lost some popularity in recent years. Canned cheeseburger.
Joanna, people can get a cheeseburger anywhere, okay?
When you think about canned food, you probably think of something that's quick and easy to prepare. You probably also believe these tins can be preserved for months, if not years, before expiring. Tuna, chicken broth, chopped tomatoes, and tomato sauce are among the most popular canned foods. Cheeseburgers are probably the last thing that comes to mind when talking about canned foods.
Ever, never.
The preparation of these backyard barbecue mainstays is neither quick nor straightforward. Furthermore, the preparation of a burger and then storing it for long periods of time is unlikely to provide a meal that you'd be willing to eat. These facts, however, haven't stopped manufacturers from canning a full cheeseburger with all the toppings. While canned cheeseburgers are accessible today, they're mostly purchased on the internet and appear to be geared for doomsday preppers and hikers. They're not very popular among college students trying to cut costs on their next dorm room dinner, as most people are turned off by the prospect of opening a can and discovering a cheeseburger inside. Tamales.
I know how bored and restless you get when you run out of tamales.
There are many different ways of making tamales. In the US, they are usually boiled and filled with vegetables. In Mexico, they are made with a filling of meat and steamed. Most people tend to prefer the homemade steamed tamales that are common in Mexican kitchens, but what if you don't have time for the labor-intensive process of making traditional tamales? This delectable maize husk-wrapped snack first appeared in the United States in the mid-1800s on the West Coast. Street sellers hawking tamales grew so common in towns near the Mexican border, such as San Antonio, Texas, and Los Angeles, California, that they were sometimes considered a nuisance. As a result, authorities attempted to outlaw them.
Enough is enough!
Fresh tamales from street sellers are becoming increasingly scarce. While tamales may still be found on the menus of Mexican restaurants around the country, individuals searching for a quick and delectable tamale snack can check their local grocery store. To make traditional tamales from scratch, however, you'll need patience and a lot of practice. Microwavable tamales as well as canned tamales make the procedure easier. Canned tamales were initially developed in the early 1900s when street vendors were still selling tamales. While canned tamales are still accessible, they're becoming increasingly hard to come by, owing to the broad availability of frozen tamales and fresh alternatives. A whole chicken.
Winner, chicken dinner.
Yes, you heard that correctly. A whole chicken in a can.
Cucucacha! Cucucacha!
It may sound strange to most people nowadays, but a whole chicken in a can was a truly revolutionary food for many back in the day. Chicken is a common component in many canned meals. Campbell's classic chicken noodle soup is one of the most popular tinned soups available. While a few bits of juicy chicken in a soup is a popular meal, especially if you're sick, you might be surprised to hear that canned chicken without the noodles and liquid is also available. Whole chicken in a can is mainly a relic of the past. While there isn't much information on the origins of this strange dish, it was most likely a product of the Great Depression, as were many canned goods. Canned foods were a mainstay in many Americans' diets during this time, due to their low cost and ease of preparation. A range of canned choices were developed to substitute common meals and pantry essentials. Although canned chicken is still popular today, you won't find a whole chicken in a can on a grocery store shelf. If you're desperate to try it, full canned chicken is still available on the internet. Pork brains.
Then get your reps in and make your brain pop, pop, pop.
There was a period when eating every part of the animal, including the brains and other organs, was not only common, but required, in order to get the most out of whatever was available. Brains have been included in recipes dating back to the 4th and 5th centuries. Brains are hard to come by nowadays, either on a restaurant menu or at the grocery store. However, until the 1990s, the brain was a popular and fashionable dish.
I want to eat your brain.
In the 1900s, a fried brain sandwich made headlines in St. Louis, while canned brains provided supermarket buyers an easy-to-prepare, shelf-stable treat in the 1970s. Roast pork brains with milk gravy was previously a canned item sold in American supermarkets, particularly in the South. These were frequently served with scrambled eggs. While they've been hard to find in grocery shops for decades, an epidemic of diseases that were linked to pork brain processing has in turn made this canned item even harder to come by. Canned cheese.
Now describe what you taste.
Cheese.
Most types of canned cheeses have almost completely vanished from grocery store shelves around the country, whereas spray-style cans of cheese still remain a popular, if not controversial, pantry staple. Cougar Gold was a kind of canned cheese made by a creamery affiliated with Washington State University. This unusual cheese would look better on a gourmet charcuterie platter than next to a can of sprayable cheese. In the 1940s, a professor at Washington State University responded to a government request to develop cheeses that could be shipped overseas to troops. The only way to safely preserve cheese for shipping before Cougar Gold was to dip it in multiple layers of wax. This method was prone to breaking, resulting in spoiled cheese. Because germs thrive in live foods like cheese and yogurt, it was very hard to find a solution. Cougar Gold was born as a result. Its cheese had a particular bacterium culture that minimized the quantity of carbon dioxide in the can, keeping it from spoiling and preventing germs from thriving.
Game changer.
The end product is a crumbly cheese with a creamy, milky sweetness and a hint of bitterness. Despite its revolutionary process, this cheese hasn't taken off and may be difficult to come by anywhere outside of Ferdinand's ice cream shop at the Washington State University Creamery. Boiled peanuts.
I'm a yoga nut, and I'm a nut.
Boiled peanuts are considered a delicacy in many countries. The Chinese are fond of them, and the French and Italians love them too. They were a popular dish at weddings and high society parties, especially during the months of August and September when the peanuts were harvested. Manufacturers may have been prompted to can these salty snacks because of their popularity and limited shelf life. Fresh boiled peanuts are still widely available in Georgia, South Carolina, and other states, although canned peanuts are much less so. This is a food largely relegated to die-hard peanut fans, rather than your average grocery store shopper. Cans are available in a variety of sizes, and with added flavors like Southern barbecue and jalapeno garlic. This salty snack may provide some added benefits that most people wouldn't expect. The boiling method extracts antioxidants from peanut shells. The antioxidant content of boiled peanuts is 4 times that of raw or roasted peanuts. Because boiling peanuts alters the proteins that cause allergic responses, they've been investigated as a possible treatment for patients with peanut allergies. Boiled peanuts were given to participants in increasing amounts over time in one research study. Some patients, but not all, were able to begin eating raw peanuts after getting used to the boiled version. However, it is not yet suggested to utilize boiling peanuts as a treatment for peanut allergies.
Don't try this at home, folks. I'm a trained professional.
Stick around, leave a comment, tap or click on another video. First time here? Then hit that subscribe button and ring that notification bell.